You're so pro, I love it.
Yes, I do this every day for a living. Yeah. All right, so 1, 2, 3, clap. Clap. Good. Harder.
That's not part of it, is it?
Oh, it's great. What's up, Frankie?
Hi.
So, okay, let me start over.
Yeah, let's start again.
Hey, Frankie, so your talk was by far, now that the conference is over, I can say that it was the best talk, at least the one that actually blew my mind. And I think that for me, one of the key things that you said that I'm going to take away is how there's actually tons of types of jobs in design. So whatever you want to do, you should really understand who you are, what your strengths are, and then kind of find the perfect job that is right for you. And so can you share a little bit about how you figure this out and how you help other people to realize what's working for them?
This is the longest question ever.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess, am I talking to the camera or you?
Who do you want to talk to?
I'll talk to you.
All right.
So I guess when I was studying, I really wanted to work at a really cool studio, and I thought that's all there was. And then I got a job at a cool studio, and I was really unhappy. Every day I went to work and I hated it. I got the bus with everyone. There was like the hipster bus from like Bondi Beach to the city, and then the hipsters went back again. And every day I'd be crammed on this bus with all these people with beards and glasses like you. And I hated it. And
Designer
I wanted to,
cliches,
yeah, 100%. All the design students in Sydney are in Surrey Hills, so it's like the same people. And I just really hated it. And I went to work one day an hour late because I had a doctor's appointment, and there was no one on the bus. And I was like the happiest human. And I was like, why do I feel so good right now? And I decided to chase that feeling, and that feeling was freedom. And so, yeah, I went overseas, and I had this epiphany that I wanted to help people. So I came back and started the Design Kids. And yeah, I guess the premise with Design Kids is to celebrate everyone's strengths.
Right.
Like, everyone wants to be Jessica Walsh, everyone wants to be Gemma O'Brien, everyone wants to be Timothy Goodman, everyone wants to be Sagmeister, blah, blah, blah. It's the same, like, 10 people that are mentioned on everything. And it's like, Gemma is, like, a good friend of mine. And, like, for a long time, I was like, I want to be Gemma. She's cool and hot, and she gets flown around the world. Like, that's so badass. But I'm not Gemma. I'm not very good at typography. I love typography, but I'm not good at it, and that's the difference. And so I started to kind of redesign my life around my strengths. So
how did you understand, like, what are they? Like, how
the strengths?
Yeah.
I think it's just self-discovery. Like, I had a thing in my talk, Ikigai, and it talks about a reason for being, and it's a long, lengthy search of self. And it's just being really aware of yourself. And I think when people give you compliments for the same thing repeatedly, you're like, oh, that's my thing. Okay. I didn't know that. And I used to do that with my students, like get them to tell each other what they were good at, because a lot of the time they have no idea.
Yeah.
And then they're like, really? And they're like so flattered. You can see it, and they're like, oh, this is my thing.
I think a lot of us designers are all only focused on what we're not good enough at.
Exactly.
And try to perfect it.
So I mean, in my talk, the first thing I did was write 400 things I wasn't good at, which was great because that's super easy. You're like, I suck at this, I suck at that. And so I narrowed it down to 7 things, and then I designed my job around those 7. And I'm probably like a really extreme version of this. Like, obviously no one else is road tripping around the world for 6 years. But the premise is, like, I want to interview designers and showcase the whole design industry on the website and celebrate the differences, and then get the students to appreciate all these different career paths. There's thousands. So it's really exciting.
Awesome. And how do you practically help people to discover this?
So everything is on the website.
Okay.
But
so the website, we're going to link it in the description, so you can check out the Design Kids website, right? It's the Design Kids website.
TheDesignKids.org, yep. But I think that is quite passive. So what we do is we do all the research in each. So say I go to Barcelona, I research all the studios, conferences, exhibitions, galleries, competitions, schools, like everything you can imagine. If I was the best graduate in Barcelona, what does that landscape look like when I pop out of school? Like, what's going on? And we do that in all the different cities. But the cool thing is, so that becomes a resource. So anyone can look at that. It's already online. Okay, but then we hire someone, and then they build the community. So they run our meetup. They write what's happening that week, they add events, da-da-da-da-da. And the idea is to kind of bring that information to life. That's a whole nother level, I think. It's like, there's one thing, all the passive information, and people that are really keen can get through it, but I think if you're like kind of lazy, it's hardcore. Whereas if you have someone like, let's drink beer and talk about design, you're like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And that's where the energy and life comes in. So, and then on top of that, I run workshops. I'm about to start these boot camps.
Okay.
So we're doing 4 across the world. So Sri Lanka closes, the applications close next week, I think.
Okay. What's going to happen? What's going to be, should I come to the boot camp? Like,
yes,
what's
no,
happening?
You should not come, you're fine. So the boot camp, basically I do like a 1-day workshop to like up to 200 people. So it's 8 hours. We go through who they are as a designer, personality traits, like are you a morning person? Do you like working in a team? Are you good at illustration? Are you tech heavy? Do you like making things with your hands? Like, do you hate other humans and you want to do stuff by yourself? Does money make you nervous? Do you need a paycheck, or are you like self-driven to make your own money? And so all these character traits are so important. If you are someone, like I say to them at the beginning, who's good at deadlines, and no one puts their hand up and they're all like, ha ha ha. And I'm like, who wants to work at a cool magazine? And then they all put their hand up and you're like, you need to be good at deadlines if you want to work at a magazine. And then they're like, connecting the dots. So the first thing we do is figure out like why you are awesome. And that is really important. You could put any single person in front of me and I'd be able to get them a job. Like, I honestly believe that. It's like really drilling down.
Because you understand each studio or each specific job, what kind of traits
exactly.
are necessary.
And then I see the beauty.
Do you break it down, by the way,
people.
on your website? Like, for example, each studio's, like, what kind of skills or traits they have?
It's hard to do because it's so... that's actually something else we do. Let me come back to that in a second.
Okay.
So the personality traits... What was I going to say? No, it's gone. I know. I was looking through this folio years ago, and I love looking at folios. Like, I love it. It's so good. Anyway, it was so boring. I was just like, oh God, I don't even know what I'm going to say when I get to the end of this. And I'm looking at the page numbers, and there are these tiny illustrations with the number inside. And I said, did you draw these? And she was like, oh my God, I love illustration. I wish I could be an illustrator. I was like, why have you got all this other shit in your on your portfolio? It was like, a website, a magazine layout, an annual report, and she wants to be an illustrator? Like, no wonder you don't have a job. It's like,
Yeah.
And I said, why don't you be an illustrator? And she's like, can I do that? And you're like, yeah, you can do that. So there's like asking for permission
people
almost.
Need permission. They feel like they need permission.
It's so bizarre. Anyway, so we go through why you're awesome, and that's like a huge, big, key part, because that's like day one, and it's like, oh shit, I am awesome and I can do this, and that's like a game changer already. Then we go through 20 different job options, and then what you need to do each one. And what I tell them, like the first 2 is like junior designer. This is for students, but the bootcamp isn't. It's for junior, midweight, senior. The first thing I say is like, when you look at a job board, don't look at junior designer at a design studio or at an advertising agency. Don't look at the title junior designer. Look at the like company. Because junior designer just means you're at the bottom.
Yeah.
Like, your job is going to vary massively depending on what company it is. So they're like, junior, hello, dear sir, madam, here's my 70% good portfolio where I put everything in it. Why aren't I hearing back? And it's just like, oh my God. My friend runs a packaging studio in Sydney, the Creative Method.
Yeah.
And he said if someone walked in the door, fell on the floor and just said, I love packaging, give me a job, he'd be like, sure, you can have a job. Without seeing their folio, because he's like, I just want some enthusiasm and someone that's like, I want to do this is all I do, da da da. So
I think also people are lacking the initiative, or like
everyone's shy, and it's really hard. We go through job options, then we go through how to fake your resume, fake it till you make it. So like, how do you have a really full resume if you don't have any experience? You can't get a job because you don't have a resume. So it's like chicken and egg.
So what are tips for that?
So basically the like employment history is in the middle, and then there's all the other categories on the outside, like volunteering and exhibitions and awards and competitions you've entered and references and da da da. That's where you can pack out all the good shit.
Yeah.
And like, yes, you have to get involved, but no, you don't have to work at these jobs. You can do all this stuff that will get you a job. And I think that's what they don't realize.
Do you think that people should apply to jobs even if it says like 3 to 5 years experience and whatever, and you don't have that? What's your opinion on that?
I'm in 2 minds about this. I've never applied for a job on a jobs board, ever.
Okay.
I've also never not got a job I've gone for.
Okay.
I just tell people they're going to hire me, and they hire me. Not because I'm good, because I'm so enthusiastic.
Okay.
Like,
so you said it twice already. Enthusiasm and like
it's huge.
Going all in.
I'm like, I love you.
Yeah.
I have to work for you. This is amazing. I will do anything. Like, please let me work for you. And they're like, Oh God. And then I like call them every day until they give me a job. Don't do that.
Second tip, follow up. It's only the
Oh my
follow-up.
God.
You have to
and
be persistent.
Phone calls.
And
Emails,
phone calls.
people can ignore. Phone calls, they're on the phone. They're like, shit, I need to give them an answer. Like,
Awesome, Frankie. You're so incredible.
Yes.
Big inspiration. I wish at one point, I could be like you when I grow up or anything.
You're so cute.
Awesome.
Thanks for
Thank you
having
so
me, Ren.
much. Bye.
Bye.